Hello, everyone. Welcome to Talking Reds. This is Talking Stats today. And if you haven't joined us before on Talking Reds, this is a channel where we want to give you the best Liverpool content out there. Not just news. We will give you news, but we will give you much more than just news. We'll give you stats, we'll give you quizzes, we'll give you much more interactive stuff as well for you guys at home to watch. Much more entertaining Liverpool content coming out every single day. That's what we want to do for you guys at home. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, and get notification bells on as well, because it will tell you when our content goes out live on YouTube. So this episode is Talking Stats. As if you have not watched Talking Stats before, we use our friends at DataMB and we go through stats that are based on this season with individual players, with teams, all Liverpool related. And in this specific episode, we're going to be looking at centre backs and what centre backs specifically come top of the stats list this season so far. Who is topping the stats? Who is topping the stats? Does it back what we're seeing with our eyes? Because we've got two sensational defenders. Two sensational defenders at Liverpool centre backs. Good backups as well, but two sensational defenders have been incredible this season in Virgil van Dijk and Ibrahima Konate. And a lot of people, including myself, think Konate has been the best out of the both of them. In terms of what I've seen this season, I think he's improved massively. Virgil's just, I think, is it because we just get used to it with Virgil? It's sensational anyway. So do we get used to it at that level? I could see either way, putting Van Dijk or Konate first for the season, but I think Konate has been our best centre back this season. But do the stats say so as well? Do the stats back at what we're seeing on the pitch? I'm going to go through the top 5 centre backs in the league according to our friends at DataMB and their performance index according to the stats. I'll start with 5 first. I'll start with 5th first. And I'll go through each individual stat in terms of their defensive output and their defensive performance. So, as always, I'll always break down what the stats I've broken down into in defensive. So, defensive stats are broken down into passes, into forward passes, progressive passes, defensive actions, defensive duel wins percentage-wise, aerial percentage, progressive carries, and the minutes played. But we won't really talk about the minutes played because it doesn't really matter about the minutes played. As long as they played about a similar amount, and which these defenders have, they've all played over 1,000 minutes. Konate's been out a little bit, but so it might knock him down a little bit. However, in minutes it does anyway. So we'll start with 5th in the table of the best stats centre backs this season. And funnily enough, there's 3 of them, and they're all joint 4th. So 4th and 5th is taken up by 3 different players. One player I'm going to start with is Pau Torres at Aston Villa. 27-year-old centre back, came into the league from La Liga, and he hasn't looked back. I think he's coming to the league. So a lot of players come into this league and try hard, find it hard to adjust to the league and get used to it. But Pau Torres has come in and has been sensational for Aston Villa. A big reason why Aston Villa got Champions League last season, and then in this season still pushing it again into Europe and doing well in Europe as well. Pau Torres is a big reason why I think sorting that centre back area out. So overall, he sits on 80 performance index. So that's an overall number in terms of percentile. So this percentile is based on the top 7 leagues across Europe. So these defenders will be matched up against other centre backs across the top 7 leagues in Europe. And Pau Torres comes in at 80 percentile as a whole performance index as a defender. But I'll break it down for you. So his passes is 59.9, which is pretty low, but he's not really a passing centre back. We know that he does enough. Villa like to go long at times as well, so I think that's more on the style of play that Emery plays more than Torres himself. He can pass, and when he does pass, he's a pretty decent passer, but he's not known as a passing centre back. Forward passes again 87.4, which is quite high. If he does pass it northern forward, which is pretty typical of top teams now in leagues, because passing ball playing centre backs are part of the game now, especially top teams like your Liverpools, your Chelseas, your Man Cities, your Aston Villas, even up there as well. So technically, they will pass forward more than just clearing it out or whatever, or pass sideways. Progressive pass is 60.5, defensive actions 1.8, which is, I think, 1.8, yeah, which is not as good as I thought it would be. 1 second. So 1.8 percentile. Defensive duels. This is where it picks up a little bit. 86.1 defensive duel percentage. He wins most of the duels he's in. 86.1, which is, looking at these six players, he is second best in terms of winning his duels, which is including aerial and on the ground, by the way, duels wherever. His aerial percentage is 7.3, not amazing in the air. So his duels must be coming on the ground. Incredible defender. Gets involved in terms of hustling and bustling, and I like that kind of defender. I love that kind of defender. And Pau Torres is that kind of defender. And the way Emery plays as well, he likes his centre backs to be strong and resilient, and that's what Pau Torres is. So going forward, his progressive carries is 97.5. Again, on the ball is decent, but he don't do it much. He don't do it much often with passing, so he does like to progressive carry. I wonder what Joe Matip would have been for progressive carries. That would have been very, very interesting. So Pau Torres ends up on 80 percentile in terms of overall performance index according to DataMB. So he's joint fourth alongside two more players. William Saliba hits fourth. Surprisingly, you'd think William Saliba would be second or third, but in terms of stats, William Saliba, I think, is the second best centre back in the league. William Saliba behind Virgil, but in terms of stats this season, he is joint fourth with Pau Torres and one another. So his passes are 87.2. Again, much more of a passing team than Aston Villa are Arsenal. Much more of a passing centre back pairing as well. Saliba's mainly the ball carrying, ball playing one out of Gabriel and Saliba. Expected to be high, 87.2 is really high. So 4 passes, 93.2, again more than Torres, and there's only one more person more than him in terms of both of those stats actually on this list. There's only one more person that beats him on passes and forward passes. Progressive carries 12.6, is not a carrying centre back really. Defensive actions 26.4, which is one of the best on the board. Second, actually, in terms of the 6 players that I am going to be speaking about here. Defensive duels is 95.5. Very, very good. That is incredible. That is really high for that, because it is actually much higher than the other 5 in the list. 96.5 defensive duels percentage. One Saliba is a beast. He's an absolute beast, and that stat backs that certain argument up however much of a beast he is. He literally wins. You're talking more than 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10 duels that he's in. Out of 10 duels, he loses half of them. Half of them, but he loses half off the 10 duels. That is high, very, very high. Incredible stats from Saliba there. 21.9 aerial percentage winning. Again, Gabriel's normally the aerial guy in the box. You see that attacking wise is the one that wins the headers and gets goals from corners. So in terms of duels on the floor, Saliba's the man. Progressive carries 11.3, again low, but he's not really a ball carrying centre back really. So to join them in 4th place is actually Ibrahima Konate. Konate is joint 4th with Saliba and Torres, according to the stats this season, for the best defenders, the best centre backs in the league. So let's go through his stats. He joins them on 80 percentile, just like Torres, just like Saliba. Konate is the man for 4th. It might surprise a lot of people, but that's according to the stats. But that's what I'm saying about stats and eye test need to be put together. And I believe Konate has been our best centre back this season. Not by much at all. Anyway, so passes 79.1, which is the second worst in the top 6. There's only Pau Torres worse than that in terms of passes. But again, he's not really the ball playing centre back. He's not the passing centre back. He will pass, but it's like Van Dijk. It's like Saliba is Van Dijk, Gabriel is Konate. That's how I see them both. One's an aerial battler. One's a passing, calm, collective, and also other things as well. Virgil probably has it all. If I'm honest, if we're actually being honest with ourselves, Virgil has it all. Anyway, Progressive passes is 62.2, forward passes 89.2, defensive actions 40.8, which is really, really good. Konate's defensive actions is actually the best out of a lot of them. And you're going to ask, why are they so low? 1.8 for Torres, 26.4, 40.8 for Konate. They're all low because they're not defensive teams, so we're not going to see much in terms of compared to everyone else in the leagues. They're not going to have many defensive actions compared to Southampton. No offense to Southampton, or West Ham or anyone like that, or anyone like that. So, so that's why they're so low. 40.8. They're not going to be as high as defensive-minded teams that have to be on the back foot and do more defensive actions. So therefore, they're not going to be up there in the top 7 leagues because the teams that are defending more than them. That's just the way it is. Defensive duels 74.8, which is pretty decent. It's behind Torres and behind William Saliba, but is better than the other two that are in the top 6 as well, alongside Van Dijk. Aerial 95.2, sensational. Konate in the air. The best, actually, better than Van Dijk as well. Konate has winning 95% of his aerial battles. Again, I don't know why teams come at Liverpool in the air sometimes, because the way Konate and Van Dijk defend, it's just they don't really get beaten in the air. And we're seeing that in the percentages because he's 95.2. Progressive carries 40.8. And yeah, so it does actually sit joint fourth with Saliba and Pau Torres on 80 percentile overall in terms of performance index. That's the overall, all the stats together as a defender. So yeah, shocking, maybe, but it's still up there, isn't it, Konate, in terms of stats as well as eye test. So third place, who takes third place? So it is in fact Brighton's Van Hecke takes third place, according to DataMB, with centre backs in this league. 84.4 passes percentile, 92.9 percentile in terms of forward passes. Again, a very dominating team, Brighton. Dominating team that like to go forward, always on the front foot. And so I expect these forward passes and these passes to be quite high. Van Hecke is that exactly. I think he's just behind Saliba and Van Dijk in terms of forward passes. And in terms of passes alone. So again, the ball playing centre back Van Hecke, and his passing stats absolutely prove how good he is on the ball, and exactly what a team like Brighton needs. And the way Brighton play football, they need a passing centre back like Van Hecke, and he does that perfectly. Perfectly. I don't know why I said it like that. Perfectly. 10.1 in terms of defensive actions, again low, but because of the amount of defending that Brighton do in most games, they dominate the ball a lot. He's not going to have much of that in terms of top 7 leagues, because, in terms of compared to everyone else in the top 7 leagues, they're not a defending team, Brighton, unless they're against the big boys. Then they are. Even against us, they attacked a lot. In fact, it was quite 50-50 against us. 93.7 in terms of progressive carries. Again, a ball player centre back likes to go forward as well. Likes to bring the ball forward as much as passing. Is a really quite perfect centre back in terms of how a top team would want. Van Hecke, I wouldn't be surprised if a top club looks at Van Hecke at Brighton going forward. Actually, defensive duels, he wins 46.1% of them, which is good. It's decent. Wins half his duels, pretty much. You'd want more as a defender, but it's pretty decent still. Aerial percentage 27%. He wins aerially. Again, he's not the centre back that really goes up in the air and wins chances. It wins duels in the air. He's not really the guy that goes up. A bit like Saliba, or a bit like Torres. He's not really the guy that jumps up and challenges these strikers. It's mainly the other centre backs that are alongside them. But everything else is spot on at the moment. 97.2 progressive carries, sensational. Again, like I said, on the ball is fantastic. Van Hecke, so he actually comes out overall 81% performance index. That's the overall defensive actions, everything together, all the stats together as a defender. 81 percentile. He comes above Torres and Saliba and Konate. In second place is Levi Colwill. And this guy has been sensational for Chelsea. Absolutely sensational. He's a player that I wanted. I think he's a player that many Liverpool fans wanted Liverpool to go and get last season or the season before, to back up Virgil and back up the left back and possibly take over Virgil when Virgil does go. Perfect player. Levi Colwill, sensational. He's only 21 as well. He did it at Brighton. Fantastic at Brighton. He's coming to Chelsea. He had a bit of a slow start last season, but then Chelsea did as a whole. He picked up again towards the end of the season. This season's been sensational. Absolutely sensational. A bit like Caicedo was at Brighton, and then he came over, and both of them sensational this season. So his passes 79.8 percentile, 73.6 percentile passing forward, progressive carries and 81.4. He's very, very good on the ball. Levi Colwill going forward. He likes to drive forward, but that's why he's good at left back as well, because he does drive forward a little bit with the ball. He reminds me of Joe Matip a little bit in terms, but left and side. I think Colwell's a perfect player to have at Liverpool. If we're ever looking at a Virgil van Dijk replacement, he could play left back and he could play left centre back as well. It's perfect for that. Defensive actions 25.7. Again, Chelsea are not as dominated as Arsenal and Liverpool, so he's going to do more defensive actions. So expected to be higher than the rest of them, but it's still quite low in terms of the leagues across the top 7 leagues. 59.2 defensive duels, which is quite poor for Colwill, if I'm honest. Aerial 57.2 and progressive carries 55.8. So his overall performance index is 82, so that which puts him in second place. So these are the stats that are broken down on DataMB specifically, but the performance index is everything together, not just these stats. It's all the stats as a defender that you'd need to put together. And Levi Colwill ends up on 82 performance index and second to only one man. 80, 80, 80, 81, 82. And the man top of the list, you guessed it, Virgil van Dijk. And he ends up on 91 percentile performance index overall as a centre-back. 9 clear of Levi Colwill in second place, according to the stats. Virgil van Dijk, 33 years old, is literally 8 years older than the next oldest centre-back in this list, which is Konate, 25. 33 years old, 89.2 passes, percentile, 4 passes, 95, topping the lot of that in terms of passes. You see how good he is, long ball of the top to Salah, diagonal's always on. Is the ball playing at the back of our centre-backs. He's sensational on the ball. He's sensational elsewhere as well. That's why he's so clear at the top. 63.7 progressive passes. Defensive actions, 13.9. Again, not going to be high because we don't do much defending. And when we do, he's there to sweep it all up anyway. Defensive duel, 77.8. So he is the best one about, apart from Saliba and Torres in terms of defensive duels. But aerial 94.7. Huge. So Konate and Van Dijk are both, Konate is 95.2 aerial percentage and Van Dijk is 94.7 aerial percentage. Don't attack Liverpool in the air. You're not going to get any joy from it at all with those stats. What we see anyway, these two are sensational in the air. Pointless coming at us. Progressive carries 23.7, but that performance index as an overall centre-back, 91. Konate 80, Saliba 80, Pau Torres 80, Van Heck 81, Levi Colwill 82, and Virgil van Dijk 91. Tops the list of centre-backs this season in the Premier League, according to DataMB. And the stats back it up, guys. The stats back it up. This guy is the best defender in the world. This guy does it week in, week out. 33 years old, and he's still not stopped yet. Get him signed that contract. Give him that contract, Liverpool Football Club. Give this guy what he wants. This guy is sensational. The best centre-back I've ever seen in this league. And the stats are absolutely backing it up. Please, if you like this kind of content, like this video, subscribe to the channel, get your notification bells on. Virgil van Dijk, you are a Rolls Royce.